Ladies and gentlemen, please notice that exits are conveniently located at the front and rear of this auditorium. When leaving the theater, we suggest that the exit at the front of the auditorium will allow you easier access to the parking areas. Thank you.
It's the beginning of the end.
Da, da, da.
Final season begins. That angers me that he can't fold that pizza.
I had the same note. Wait, do you not like that part of the movie? Because that's the movie.
No. I thank God every day I know the lyrics to Enter the Same.
After brutal dumping. No, that sounds terrible.
After I took a brutal dump. Hi, I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And you're listening to the Forgotten Cinema Podcast. Each episode, we highlight a film that, for a variety of reasons, was forgotten by audiences. Whether it be because a more popular movie was released at the same time, or the movie simply didn't catch on with an audience in its initial run. We'll discuss what we love about the film, or perhaps don't love about it, but we'll always recommend you revisit it. If you enjoy our podcast, we want to hear from you. We're on Instagram and Facebook. Find us. Our podcast is available on all platforms with a backlog of 200 episodes for your listening pleasure. What's up?
Nothing. Isn't it so much better we don't have canned openings?
I wish we would.
Yeah, I just been busking outside on the streets.
Busking.
Trying to make some money. It's just like 10 cents here or there.
I had to look that up.
Busted ass guitar.
I had to look up what busking means. I was like, what the heck
You
does
know
that
what
mean?
busking meant?
I did not know. I'm not in the film. I'm not in the business, the music industry. I don't know that. We are doing the 2007 film Once. Mike, what's Once about?
Oh, well, funny you should ask that, Field. Once is about a vacuum repairman who moonlights as a street musician and hopes for his big break. One day, a Czech immigrant who earns a living selling flowers approaches him with the news that she is also an aspiring singer-songwriter. Okay. The pair decide to collaborate, and the songs that they compose reflect the story of their blossoming love.
Yes, that's what the movie's about. All right, Once is a runtime of 86 minutes. Nice.
Oh, yeah.
It's rated R. Production budget of $150,000. It came out in a limited release date on Wednesday, May 16th, 2007. Its opening weekend, it did $61,000. Domestic, get ready, $9.4 million. Right. International, $11.5 million for a worldwide total of $20.9 million off of a $150,000 budget. Fantastic. That's a big time win. That's a career maker right there. Production company was Summit Entertainment and Samson Films, and was distributed by it called it Searchlight Pictures, but I'm pretty sure it's Fox Searchlight Pictures.
It's Searchlight
right?
now because Disney has taken away.
But here, that's the problem with that. That's the problem I have, because in IMDb Pro it says Searchlight Pictures. It's like, yeah, but you were Fox when it came out. Shouldn't you just say?
That's not how the links work,
right?
Man.
I was not a fan of that. I was like, come on now. All right, so I said it came out on the 16th, which was actually a Wednesday, which I said. So nothing came out in that day, but that Friday, the 18th, you had a wide release of Shrek the Third. Obviously, we are in the summer months or summer movie months, and a limited release of Even Money. The week after, the 25th of May, you had a wide release of Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End and the movie Bug. And then the week before, the 11th, you had a wide release of Georgia Rule, 28 weeks later, which is a sequel, Delta Farce, The X, and a limited release of The Salon and Blind Dating. So this movie, it's obviously the opening salvo of the summer season. I'm shocked that this film came out on a Wednesday, albeit a limited release, but it didn't matter. It made its money.
Oh, yeah.
Written and directed by John Carney. So now I think we've done all of John Carney's films.
I was going to say, we're going down the list.
So Sing Street, Begin Again, he's done, which we did. Yep. He's also done the TV show Modern Love, which was on Prime Video's 2 seasons, which is basically based upon the missed opportunity section in New York Times, I believe.
Yeah. I remember the trailers.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's actually, I don't know if I watched the second season.
You watched the first season.
I did watch the first season. First season, it's actually some of them work. Some of them don't work. You know what? I confuse it always with the show, The Romanovs, because we did that. We watched that as well. And that kind of has the same idea where each episode is about somebody who says they're related to the Romanovs, because it's like everyone thinks they're related to the Romanovs kind of thing. Yeah. And it talks about their lives. So it's kind of this very similar. So we never went back to the second season, which I'll probably have to go back to. But anyways, cinematographer was Tim Fleming, who's done Jimmy All Is By My Side and The Stranger. Composer, there is no composer. It's actually the 2 leads, Glen Hansard and Markéta Irglová. Hansard, he's a singer-songwriter. You have probably, you've
heard the theme from Once.
Right.
And a bunch of his other stuff. I had always liked Glen Hansard.
Right. Hansard, is that it? Hansard, sorry.
Yeah, because I like him because I started listening to Damien Rice, who's surprisingly, he's in the first Shrek movie, I'm pretty sure.
Shrek.
Or the second one.
Oh, okay.
And his music he's an Irish singer-songwriter as well. Mm-hmm. And then from him, I kind of got linked into like Glen Hansard stuff because they go to concerts together and they're kind of very similar. So then when he was doing Once, I was like, oh, that's also the Glen. Okay.
Yeah. I think Hansard's a big, I think he's friends with, or big, like not best friends, big time friends with Eddie Vedder as well. I think I've seen them perform together. I think they performed Falling Slowly together on stage. Yeah.
I'm not a huge Eddie Vedder fan. I can't stand the way he sings, but
I get that's his style. Well, some people would not like the way Hansard sings because it's like he sings like his life depends on it every time.
He does. I like Glen Hansard, but like watching him sing feels painful.
Well, it feels. I mean, it's just how it is, you know. But anyways, he actually wrote some of the songs for Sing Street, which I don't know if we brought up when we did that episode. Did we do that?
Yep.
And I, for the life of me, can't remember which songs, but
it was two of them. I think it was the main song, that really 80s music video they do, and then one other song.
Okay. Anyways, so edited by Paul Mullen, who's done the TV show Gogglebox Ireland. Produced by Martina Nyland, who's done Sing Street and Disobedience. Cast is huge cast. Huge cast. We've already talked about Hansard. He plays the role of Guy.
Yeah, no one has names. The two mains don't have names in this movie.
So when we say guy and girl, don't get offended. And Irglová plays girl. Hansard actually is in The Commitments, if everyone's ever seen that film. And Irglová just does music in other movies, and she was really
in college when this.
She was 17 when she did this film.
Dated Glen Hansard.
There we go. There we go. Yeah, I knew we were gonna go there.
Surprisingly, it didn't work out.
Yeah. Well, they're still friends though. I think they did an album together. There's an album they did together, I think a couple years ago.
Oh yeah,
that's out with them. Yeah. Anyways, so before we get into it, this is what I'm going to tell you, Butler. And if you don't feel the same way, we might have a problem. I absolutely adore this film. I love this movie.
This movie is absolutely fantastic.
Okay, good. Because if you didn't like it, I was going to be like, there's something wrong with you. All right, well, good. Then why don't you talk about this film? You never saw it, right?
I knew a lot of, again, because I like Glen Hansard, I have the soundtrack is saved on my Spotify playlist.
Falling Slowly is an awesome. It's won the Oscar for best original song. It's like, I remember that Oscars. I remember watching it because they performed it, and it was just like, I was like, this doesn't win. I hate this show. Right. I hate the Oscars.
Although it beat Enchanted, which had 3 songs, which probably worked against it.
Yes, agreed.
But yeah, so it beat How Do You Know, which is like one of the catchiest songs of all time.
But the whole thing with Falling Slowly is that song is just like, it's the musical embodiment of the film that if it didn't win, it's like, what are you saying here? But anyways, go ahead. What do you think? What did you think about it?
It wears its heart on its sleeve. It's telling a phenomenal story that never gets sappy. It never goes over the line. You know, they say it's a romantic movie, and it is, but it's not really about two people falling in love and making it work, or even falling apart like an indie movie where it's like, but it doesn't work out. It just, you know from the get-go, and I think both of your leads know from the get-go that it's a doomed romance. Mm-hmm. Especially, I think Girl knows that more than anybody.
I think that they meet at the wrong time.
Yeah.
I think if they went the route of being together, I think that's the wrong choice. I think they meet at the wrong time, but they meet for a different reason.
They meet for the right time for their lives.
For their lives, in terms of, it's almost not a reset, but just kind of like getting them on the right path. And they wouldn't have gotten on the right path in their own lives if they did not meet.
Yep.
And I think that, and it's almost like you think moving forward, if they would become really great friends.
Oh yeah. They'd still keep in touch and stuff like that. There's no hard feelings, but her not, I think he understands at the end, obviously he's like, they record their album. It's like, you should come back to my place and hang out. Cause he doesn't want to lose her. Maybe not even romantically, just as a friend.
Hanky panky.
Yeah. It's like, let's hang out. Let's keep talking. I like talking to you.
Right.
And I think that she understands that
what would happen,
make it worse.
Yeah.
It's going to be harder to say goodbye, but we need to say goodbye.
Right.
Like, she needs to reconnect with her husband. She needs the job cleaning the house. She needs to take care of her kid and her mother. Mm-hmm. And he's got to go to London. He's got to try to make it work with his album. But something that I didn't realize, and get back to his ex.
Yeah. I didn't realize that until this movie, when I rewatched it again, that he was really going to go back and also be with his ex again. And like, they don't do the trope where the ex leaves him and she leaves in front of the guy.
She cheated on him once.
Right.
But she didn't stay with him.
Right. And he couldn't get over that.
Yep.
And the other trope of like, she has a domineering husband who's mean and you know what I mean? They don't do that.
She had a husband who she kind of lost touch with,
right,
and was too old for her. She says,
right.
Although he doesn't look too old for her. When he appears.
She's. I don't think she's supposed to be 17 in the film. I think she's supposed to be like 19, 20.
Oh, sure, she's supposed to be.
So he's probably like
that.
25, 26.
Yeah.
So something like that. But yeah, I just think that it doesn't delve into those kind of like what we're used to in movies like this.
Oh, sure.
So that the two leads can get together. It's a realistic
relationship.
Exactly. It's not. I don't want to say it's an adult film but it's such a mature film. Like, you know what I mean? It's such a film that people who of all ages,
that drama.
Right.
Unnecessary, unrealistic drama too.
Right. It's very realistic. It's very set in the this is a story that we probably have all experienced or know people that have experienced it. It's very relatable. That's, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Didn't realize that when he said he was going to London, he was going to go obviously eventually make things work with his ex. I don't want it, but I wouldn't mind knowing what happened, like another movie. But I don't want it. But I'm just saying I wouldn't mind knowing what happened with these characters. No, I know.
Then it becomes Begin Again.
Would you call it twice?
And he writes a song about cheating on her, and he plays it for her awkwardly.
Well, that's Begin Again. Also, you can definitely sense the same thematic element. You know what you're saying? Like
well, both of us, Sing Street as well. Certain things are all the same. Like Joe Carney's whole like shtick is music is the great leveler of life.
It's a healing, kind of like you could be used in a healing way.
Sure, yeah. That it's a very powerful tool.
Right.
So a lot of that echoes, and you can see like Once is so raw and rough in the best way.
Well, I love independent film, so I'm gonna always be like that.
And then you can kind of see that evolution going from Sing Street and then into Begin Again as well.
Yeah.
Like that kind of evolution of filmmaking, that kind of learning as you go kind of a thing.
They're just honest films, all of them, especially Once. They're just honest and straightforward. And like the opening, when they meet, the first time they meet together, it's a meet cute, but it has no frills. It's an actual meet cute in real life. Like when you see meet cutes in romantic comedies, they're always just like, oh, I'm stumbling with my coffee, and you ruined my best
camera angle.
Right.
Really get into
but
it.
This is right. But this is how people meet in real life. And it's just so authentic and relatable that you can't just not be like, oh my God, this is just perfect.
10 cents. Wow. Great. Yeah. Thanks. Not for 10 cents.
I love the opening.
Oh, when the crackhead takes
his buddy. It's his cousin or something like that. It's like, don't do it, man. He's like, well, I'm just tying my shoe.
Just do it. I was waiting for it when he first comes out. I was like, did he finish pissing, or is he piss in his guitar?
I know. He's like, and he's just singing. It's like, don't fucking do it, man.
Don't do it. Can you hold this guitar for me?
And he just chases him down. And did you see the note? What happened? Because
so they're shooting in the really far lens.
Long
so
lens.
You can't see any of the.
You don't realize they're shooting the scene. Yeah.
So the people that are in Dublin, obviously, they can't close the streets.
Mm-hmm.
So he steals the guy's Glen Hansard's guitar case and starts running. So some good citizen kicks him in the balls.
Yeah.
Trying to get it back.
In real life. Yeah. I thought that was great.
Now we're shooting a movie. And I love how you can't understand a word when he gets out of breath with the crackhead saying, because he's so like super Irish and he's so like out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And Glen Hansard's just, yep, come on, man. No, you can't do it, man.
Yeah.
But like this guy's like, I was sure this is the thing. And then he's like the character, he's almost like Brad Pitt's character from Snatch. Yep.
Oh
my God, I can't understand a word.
Yeah. And then he gives him the money at the end because it's like, you want the money, I'll just loan it to you. Just let me know.
A couple bucks. I'll give you a couple bucks.
And it's like, can I get a couple bucks? It's like, here, just take it.
And he's like, oh, here's a couple more cheds.
Yeah.
Give it to you.
It's a really cool opening because it's just funny.
His guitar is so beat up.
It is. I don't really know too much about like how that affects the sound with a big giant hole in it, but I
mean, it probably doesn't. It probably affects it in the studio.
Right.
Which was he using his same beat up guitar in the studio?
He was. He uses the guitar the whole time.
I don't think that in real life they would have probably been like, we have an acoustic guitar for you to use.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. They're you're paying
sound
for the space. You're not really paying for the equipment, right?
Well, they have the drum set up for him.
I thought that was their drum set.
No, he's got the smaller drum set and the bigger ones in the back.
Okay.
But yeah, I would have thought that, for recording purposes, he would have used a different one. It probably doesn't matter much when you're busking. And anyone just has to be close to you anyway.
That's
I was
true.
Like, that is beat up.
I'm surprised he's the only person out there performing. Although they do, that's how he gets his band because the other guys.
He goes to a different street. I think he's been doing it so long that that's kind of like his turf.
Mhm.
Plus, if it's like certain places, I know you have to get like licenses.
Mhm.
Like busking isn't like the people that busk in New York City subways. They've gotten permission. That's why they don't get kicked out.
I don't know how strict it is in terms of Dublin.
If someone just comes in,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
I mean, I know that they, the look of Dublin, purposely the way they shot it is more about like how it was 10 to 15 years prior to the film, like a more of a working class city. I don't know if it's like that. It wasn't like that then.
Well, that's one of the things that I noticed was, I don't know, it was like in 2007, but like I was thinking back to when Always Sunny went to Ireland for some of their, it was a very modern looking city.
Some of their stuff
Some
is,
of their stuff
yeah.
But I was like, that's very modern. This is really gritty. I don't know if it changed within the last 15 years or like that note was like they just wanted to keep that old look.
I think they tried to keep. They shot in specific areas of Dublin where that
still looks like when they were
but it's shot on film. It's shot.
It's gritty.
It's older. Yeah, it's probably an older stock, old cameras. So that's why it's on. It's $150K. I didn't realize that Cillian Murphy was going to be in this. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah,
I didn't know that either.
I didn't know two things. I didn't know that he was going to be a singer. He's a musician before he decided to become an actor. Like,
Cillian Murphy was always going to do that.
Yes,
I didn't know that.
So I didn't know that he was like that was what he's going to do.
Doing the movie because of the singing.
Well, he didn't think that he could sing it the way
match
that
up to Glen Hansard.
Right. He thought that he wouldn't do it justice, so he backed out. But then I guess he backed out. That's where all the money went too, because it was all the money.
He left the Irish Film Board because it's like funded by Ireland.
75% of it,
We're
yes.
Like, no.
Yeah.
But then John Carney gave his salary to Glen Hansard and Markéta, plus a promise of residual.
There's a promise there. They said that they offered. He funded the movie with his own money, and he offered back end deals to the cast and crew. Now I don't know how that came up. What
happened?
Exactly. They also shot the film with natural light, and they shot it at friends' houses. But that, you know what though, that's fine because that's where that just adds to the movie.
Like the flat, that big party in the flat.
Mm-hmm.
That's Glen Hansard's flat. The old lady who sings the first line of the Irish song.
Mm-hmm.
That's his mom.
Right.
So
right.
I like.
Oh, when they come to the dinner and they're all just singing. You can't sing. You can't stay if you can't sing.
You can't say yeah. And then the mom starts singing, and I guess Markéta actually made the food they're all eating.
Yes.
So I kind of like that.
Yeah.
That reminded me again of Begin Again when they're in that party.
Yeah.
In the apartment, it just felt real.
Yeah. Begin Again is almost. Like I would love to see more movies like Begin Again. Like you got bigger actors and stuff like that, but it's still set in that independent mindset.
Personal.
Like, we talk about in the beginning and how New York City is part of it. That it's a character in it.
This Dublin almost is.
Yeah, I mean that's what you need. That's almost like when you talk about making an independent film, you almost have to don't shy away from using your location as a character because that just adds to it. Never takes away from it. Never takes away when you try to hide it. It always just adds to your independent film. And again, like we talk about it all the time, like if the movie's well written and it's well performed, it's not going to matter how it looks or the locations. It's because people are going to be so enthralled with it that, it works.
Yeah.
Bob Dylan's a big fan of this film. Did you see that?
I saw that. I like Bob Dylan as a songwriter. He's not the greatest singer, but I think even he thinks that.
I'm sure.
But yeah, I like the note that he invited him to sing in his album tour.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. I like Steven Spielberg's.
Yes.
So Steven Spielberg was a really big fan, and he was like, a little movie called Once gave me enough inspiration to last the rest of the year.
Absolutely.
Like, if I made a movie for like no money and then Steven Spielberg I would make my career. I'd be like, I'm good.
I don't know anybody that has seen this film that doesn't like it. I know there's people that don't watch this film because it doesn't look like I'd like that kind of thing.
I only like Iron Man.
But I don't know anybody that has seen this film that has come away from it going like it was just okay. Like it's such an uplifting and great film.
Oh yeah, if you could sit anybody down to watch this film,
right.
I would be hard pressed for anybody not to like this film.
Right. You can't. It's one of those films that you just have a smile on your face at the end. I
love when he buys at the piano.
Yeah,
and like she's playing it, and that's what he's thinking about as he's driving away on the thing. He's got that smile on his face.
Yeah, it's a really strong film. This movie is so good that the musical adaptation of it that's on Broadway that came out in the 2012 won 8 Tony Awards.
It's what got Kristen Milioti like famous. That's what got her cast on How I Met Your Mother and all that. It's actually really interesting how they do that play because it takes place all within like a restaurant, I'm pretty sure, outside of one.
Okay.
And the cast and crew are the same. So they all share responsibilities and it's really
nice.
bare bones.
Nice. That's that type of stuff, like the way this movie is shot and the way, you talk about how the play is like, I think that's at the basic level of what filmmaking is. And I think that the more you get away from that, the more it feels like a job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I get it. You want to make money and you want to become successful, but at its root, like when everyone who says like, oh, I want to make movies, I want to tell stories, like that's where it is. And like when you experience that, I think that is so much more rewarding in putting together a film that way than any other way. And like, that's what gets you hooked. And obviously, like I said, you move on, you do bigger roles, do bigger things. And at its core, yes, that's what you're doing, but it never feels as good as when you are doing it, shooting at your mom's house with people making food for you and you're telling a story and everyone's involved.
Everyone's into it. Yeah.
Right. There's nothing more rewarding than putting something like that together because that's the essence of storytelling.
Which the best example of that is when they're in the recording studio.
Mm-hmm.
And even the recording guy's like, I'm doing this with a whole bunch of what he calls them like elbows or something weird. Some kind of weird Irish slang.
Exactly.
A bunch of elbows in here. And then of course, Glenn starts playing.
Yes.
And he's just like, I'll go call you back.
Yeah.
And then he listens and he actually starts adjusting the levels, takes it seriously.
Right.
They're there the entire weekend. They're editing at 4 a.m. going into the car. I love the car test.
Oh, when they're driving around, because let's hear it on the bad speakers.
On good speakers. Now let's listen to it in the car speakers.
Yeah.
Because that's where everyone's going to listen to it.
Right, right.
But then they're all still doing it. They're just all the coffee, all the cigarettes, all the beer bottles, just they're in it for the art. They're in it to create something.
Right.
But the other thing is you don't usually see is like that also never happens because those other people would be like, I want to do my song. And I want to do my song. And I want to do my song.
Oh, I know.
When it comes to like movie making, it's like, yeah, but I get a script. Let's film my thing.
And I get it. You want to be, I understand that impetus to do that, but like it's
you still
just
have to take a project one at a time.
Right.
And be like, all right, let's do this. And then can you help me on mine?
Right.
Afterward?
I always told my buddy Adrian that when we started doing stuff, we started making things. I'm like, I'm like, listen, if we just start doing stuff and start doing it for the real right reasons, people will want to work with us. People will want to be part of it because we're not just being like, oh man, we're not just sitting there talking about how great cool shot, this one cool shot's going to really be good. We're actually telling stories and being part of it. People gravitate towards that honesty and storytelling. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's why this film works so well is because there's an honesty to the storytelling and there's a genuineness and that there's an authenticity to the movie that people just are like, you can't help but just get sucked in when you're watching the film. And I think that's a testament to Carney. It's a testament to the two leads. It's a testament to, I mean, the songs are fantastic.
When they're in the shop and they sing Falling Slowly for the first time, it's amazing. And it's almost completely done in one shot. And the camera just kind of circles around them while they're in this music store. It's lit just like if you opened your phone in a music store. But you're enraptured by it because of how good it is, how interesting it is. And they do the full song, but it's so natural. Like he's actually kind of, is this right? And then we're going to go to C and like, yeah, but it doesn't distract from the song. It doesn't distract from the emotion that you're feeling of these two people creating this beautiful piece.
It's like you're there in the store and you were like
listening and watching this ridiculousness happen by ridiculous, but amazing.
Yeah. Even the scene when she comes out of the shop and she's singing the lyrics to the song and she's walking and it's a one shot until she gets to the stoop, right?
Yeah.
Right. And the kids are clearly staring at the camera.
Oh yeah.
But that's fine because then she starts walking and the kids just start following
her. Yeah.
And you're like, that they're not in the movie, but you're like, I don't care. That's fine. They don't keep. Yeah. And it works. And she sings. I mean, I think her music is dubbed over, obviously, from the studio.
Dubbed,
but she's doing the whole scene out. And it's just, she's singing for real. And that it's one shot. It's happening. It's dark. It's not clearly they can't afford to light everything, but you don't care because the song is really good and you're involved.
Also look really cool.
Yeah,
it's got that nice old school orange glow to it.
Sure. Well, you have lights. You just don't have perfect.
Right.
Lighting. Yeah. You don't have a giant 5K giant ball sitting there.
Well, the only big shot they did is the crane shot at the end of the movie is like the most expensive.
Right. But you know what? That's the way you're going to end the film. Then that's where you put it. That's where you use that shot. Yeah, absolutely. Because that's your final shot. That's your final. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I know it's probably incidental, but I love when the crane shot goes from out her window and pans to the right
Mhm.
There's the sun reflection that goes like almost follows with the camera's moving, like the sunlight's leaving her.
Those happy accidents.
Yeah, there's a really nice like happy accident.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to ask this, but I know that you don't. I know there's not. Is there anything you don't like about this film?
Let's see my notes. There is a mess up I noticed.
Okay.
So when Guy first goes to dinner with girl
Mhm.
in her apartment, and they're eating dinner, they switch from a shot of the two of them eating dinner, shooting back to the three Czech guys, Russian guys watching TV.
Right.
You can see that Markéta's eating dinner, but there's nobody sitting where Glen was.
Oh, really?
I
I didn't even
seat's
notice
just
that.
empty, and then it goes right back up to the two of them eating.
I didn't notice that.
So I was like, oh, that was a little dry.
Interesting.
Well,
We're the only TV in the building. Oh man.
there's no phone.
No phone, only
Got it
TV in the
right.
building. So these guys come over and just they're eating dinner. It's basically behind the couch against the wall
Yep.
because it's all in one
As
room.
they watch their soccer match or whatever it
Sweet
is.
Jesus.
I have nothing except that he says cool a lot.
Well, that's just cool.
So
cool.
my notes, cool.
That's fine.
Cool.
That's his thing, though. He's easy going. He's
also-
easy breezy.
I like her line when she's trying to listen to the CD player and it doesn't work. She goes, "Fuck you, batteries." I'm like,
Yeah.
that's exactly what I say when I can't turn on my controller or my remote.
Well,
I'm like,
because it's never our fault. Yeah. The scene where they go they take the bike and they go off to
the park or whatever.
right. And so the moment when I don't know if you saw this in your notes, but the moment when he's asking her,
I did. I think you know.
Okay, so the moment he's asking her for different lines in terms of in her Czech in her language,
How to say it.
how to say certain words, and he asked her, "How do you say? Do you still love your husband?" And she responds, she says something, but they don't subtitle it, and I never caught it. But I guess what she's saying to him is, "No, I love you."
Yep.
But you don't know that because
Unless you speak Czech. Yeah,
exactly.
They don't subtitle. For you.
So which I think is like a really cool note because you're just like, damn it.
That changes everything.
But she knows that he doesn't understand her. So she just says it because she admits it, but she is smarter than him because clearly most women are smarter than men, that they can never be because of just like we talked about, they met at the wrong time for that particular reason.
Yeah.
They met at the right time for their lives to move on. But yeah, so I think that's such a heartbreaking moment and so touching. You're just like, oh man. So a couple of other notes I have is that this is based on Carney's, like when he lived in Dublin, he had a relationship with somebody, long distance relationship with his girlfriend who lived in London. So it's kind of partially autobiographical that way. I don't really understand. I don't really know if like
the loneliness of being in
Right.
the city alone. And
yeah, he says he wrote the outline for the film in 5 minutes in a Dublin cafe in 2004 when he was missing her because she had to go take the acne job.
sure.
I don't know. I guess maybe what's 5 minutes? A couple bullet points
Like
here.
you kind of know,
yeah.
I want to do a story about a guy who's a musician, maybe,
Right.
who's lonely in the city.
And his first draft was 60 pages long.
I saw that. It's like your final draft wasn't much longer.
Well, that's fine. Listen,
Yeah.
I like an 86. I'll take an 85, 86 minute movie any day of the week over a
sure.
2.5 hour movie.
The 60 pages plus the songs probably equal that. Probably wasn't much longer than that 60 pages.
Well, that's why you have. Well, that's why you have like the songs are the full songs, and you just
Exactly,
yeah.
Which I like because I hate when you like, which I can't remember if Sing Street or Begin Again cut any out.
I don't believe they did.
I hate when movies will have you introduce songs, especially movies about singers and songwriters, and you cut the songs off.
The only time I think in Begin Again,
she turns off the song where he sings about cheating on her.
But also, yes. But also, there's that song that he redoes, that she does the song at the end, Falling Stars.
Yeah.
I think
because
that
she leaves the
well,
concert.
but also because you've heard it 3 or 4 times already.
So you don't need to.
Yeah.
That's true. So, I mean, yeah, I like doing the full songs. I don't like when you cut out songs.
But that's the movie too. That's what these movies are. Like that's the I think that's now if you go to see a John Carney film, whatever he does next, and it's based around music, that's the expectation.
Oh, you want, yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
But like we talk about, we both love Sing Street. We both love Begin Again. We both love this film. And like, what else do you need to know about these movies that they're really, really good?
I need to know that the song "Broken Hearted Hoover Fixer Sucker Guy" was improvised.
That's great,
that
though.
Glen Hansard just messing around, and they was like, "No, we're gonna do that for real now."
There's I think all 3 of those films too. There's moments in those 3 films that when we talk about that, there's just like again, there's such authenticity to the films and to the characters, to the character work, to the writing. You know what I mean? Like we talk about all the time, how characters dictate the story. Like that's extremely evident here with Once. And with all the other two movies as well. I have nothing but great things to say about this film. Like I was sitting there, I watched this movie and I was sitting there going, is this like one of my favorite films of all time? Like it could be. It could be one of those films where I just would be like, yeah.
If I had watched this earlier, like this came out in 2007, so I was already going to school for acting and film.
Mhm.
But if this had come out a few years earlier where I was still like on the fence and like what I wanted to pursue, this is one of those films, kind of like the first Rocky, kind of like the first Evil Dead, where it's so like, you can do this. Anyone can do this. You just have to have a dream and like a script, like be real, like try to tell a real story or try to do something different. Like this is one of those movies that I'd be like, I want to be an artist. This is what I want to do.
I think it's one of those films that if you want to be an artist for the right reasons, I think that if you want to be able to,
I don't think anyone should be an artist because it's like, I want to be rich.
Well, like, that's what I'm saying. Like you, like writer, director, musician, whatever.
Right.
Like you're willing to do this and still not be successful. Like but you have a love, like we talked about, you have a love for what you're doing without like that whole scene where they're around the table with everyone singing. Like none of those people are famous,
right?
But all those people love music and love everything about it, that they get together and like that's probably like a great night for them. And they, you know what I mean? Like, but that's what it's about. Like it's like if you watch this film, like you say, and you get inspired, you need to understand that you're getting inspired because you're like, I don't care if I make tons of money off of that. I just love being able to create with other people.
Yeah.
Like that's that kind of feeling that, and if that's what you get that inspiration from, then that's fantastic. Cause that at its core is what it's all about in terms of just being creative.
Mm-hmm.
Carney talks about the title of the film refers to all these talented artists who put off their career by saying once they get this and that sorted out, but never succeed, that they put it off too long. And that like describes the lead character of the guy. It's just kind of like, you know, once I get this done, once I get that done, then I'm going to do this. It's like, you know what I mean? But they never get it done.
That's almost everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Me with my college loans.
Once I do this, once I get this, once I get a new job, or once I leave this place, I'm going to do this. Once I do that. Yeah, absolutely. It's all talk. You just do it. Just do it. We talk about it all the time when we did, you know, the podcast. This is a perfect example of the podcast, even though it's wrapping up. Listen,
even though we failed.
No, we didn't fail. We did, but like, you know, when we talked about doing this podcast, we talked about like, you were like, oh, we should just do this. And we're like, all right, let's just do it then. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
And the first season, you go back to the first season compared to now,
the first couple episodes,
it sounds like garbage, but I wouldn't take them down because you need to see that. You need to see that growth.
Oh yeah. The evolution. Yeah.
Right. You need to see like we were recording in my dining room and it was sounding like we were in a wind tunnel. And they were like, maybe we need to go get, you know, padding and stuff like that. Foam and all that stuff. Better mic. Yeah, exactly. And you have a little setup. You know, but you know, but it's been 4 years and it's, you know, I think it was totally worth it because I think we all learned a lot of stuff and, you know,
now this is the retrospective.
Yeah, not that exactly. Join us in 8 episodes.
Did you see The Commitments, the movie they always talk about in the notes?
I've never seen The Commitments.
And I kind of want to watch it now.
I've never seen it. I know there's a ton of people in it and I just never went back to it. It was like, it was before I was into films or like right around that that time. Yeah. I never really got into movies and films and stories like I do now, maybe a couple years later. So I've never gone back to it, but you know what? Maybe I will. All right, Butler. Who are we recommending this to? You were going to say where you can find us.
I was. I recommend this to everybody. Like I said, everybody. Anyone who wants to create, anyone who wants to be a creative, anybody who likes music, anyone who likes art, I think
anyone that needs a pick me up.
Anybody who wants to be uplifted, anybody who likes romantic stories. This is different than you're used to, but you still probably like this. You can't, like you said, you can't but smile during this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many feel good moments. Even the moments where things don't work out, like between guy and girl, they're not drop down moments because they still fixed each other's lives and everything is better for it.
Mm-hmm. I think you have to be open when you watch this film. You have to be willing to maybe if you're somebody who watches movies and you're just kind of like, oh, this is ridiculous, blah, 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 whatever, fine. Maybe that's not for you. Maybe you need to watch it alone, but you need to be open to watching this film.
Absolutely. You need to not be closed-minded. You need to be someone who can accept that not all movies have to be huge blockbusters, that films can be made for like no money.
Mm-hmm.
But I think anybody watching this film would be the better for it. So I would recommend this to everybody, even if maybe I can't get through to some people. I'd recommend it to them 100%.
Absolutely.
1,000%.
Yeah, this is a movie that you should watch. You need to watch. This is a film that basically is a love letter to everybody that that is creative and wants to tell stories or whatever they want to do, make music. I think it's just kind of like, hey, we see you kind of thing. And it's just everyone, what's funny is everybody as a kid has a dream. And as you get older, you might forget it and you just I'm too old for that now. I can't do this anymore. And that's fine. I'm sorry that you feel that way, but like, I talk about it all the time when we're kids, we're always told that, shoot for the stars. But then when you get older, that message stop. It's like, why does that matter? I never understand why that when we get older, why people stop telling you to keep going for your dreams.
What's interesting is that connects to our last week's episode.
Yeah, last week's episode, Astronaut Farmer. Yeah,
the same thing.
Exactly.
Everyone
it's like
says you can do anything you want as you're growing up.
Yeah, but
and
not
you grow up and they say you can't do that.
You can't do that anymore, and I think that's complete horseshit. So if I didn't believe that, I wouldn't have written books, and I wouldn't have done this podcast. I wouldn't have done movies. I wouldn't have still been trying to do short films. So it's bullshit. I don't want to live in a life where I'm not creative. So I think that's just. Whatever, you already said it. So so I think people should watch this film, and I think they should, if they don't like it, that's fine. We just won't be friends.
I think the only reason it's forgotten is because I think people remember the song, but maybe don't remember it's based on a movie.
I think so. I think it's also a movie like this movie should be playing on TV. It's rated R. Sure. You probably have to cut out swear words, but like there's no reason why this film can't always be able to be seen. I don't understand. It's not. I mean,
it could be on FX.
Yeah, Disney owns it now, right? Yeah. So put it on Hulu. I mean, this should be out there. This should be celebrated. Every Oscar season that rolls around, in terms of let's watch these Oscar favorites.
You already made $30 million on it. You don't need to make it more.
Exactly. Let's go. Unreal. All right, where can they find us?
You can find us at ForgottenCinemaPodcast.com or ForgottenEntertainment.com, as we are part of the Forgotten Entertainment family. While you're there, check out all the other great podcasts and video content we got for you guys. Check it out. It's great. We want to celebrate creators today, so during the episode, so we got creators there creating some stuff. And then while you're wherever you listen to this podcast, go ahead and give us a like, a rate, subscribe, all that good stuff helps the podcast. And that's what I got.
Awesome. And next week we are going 10 years from now. We're going 1997. We're going to be doing the David Mamet film, The Spanish Prisoner. So you've never seen this.
Mamet, is there going to be a lot of swears?
Probably. It's David Mamet. I think it's Mamet. It is Mamet. See, it is him. That's next week. If it's not him, then I'll apologize at the beginning of the episode next week. Until that, are you checking it now?
I am. It is Mamet.
Yeah, I told you. So that's next week. Steve Martin's in this movie. So anyways, different type of Steve Martin. So that's next week, Spanish Prisoner. Until then, everyone have a great rest of your week. I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And this has been Forgotten Cinema.